microphone. I'll wait till they're done. Okay. It's 6:30, so I'm calling this meeting of the Facilities Committee to order. Can we get a roll call, please?
Vanek Theranot.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
Furtado. Here. Greer. Here. Hanauer Friedman. Locke.
Here.
Smith. Lockshin.
Here. We have quorum. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting? I think we move first and then we'll amend, yep. Motion by Locke, second by Vantage Theranot. Any discussion on tonight's agenda? I believe we have one change from Dana here.
I'd like to remove F. It's the change orders for satellite jail renovation project or consolidation project. We did not have change orders in place for this meeting, so we'll either bring them to the full county board later in the month or the county board meeting in July.
Do you approve the amended agenda? We
Yes.
make a friendly movement? Okay, great. So all in favor of the amended agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so moving ahead with that, can we get a motion for approval of the minutes from our May 7th meeting? Furtado and then Wilson, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Do we have any public participation for tonight's meeting? Seeing none, we can move on to board communications. Anyone have anything they'd like to share? Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Dana and Chris, for organizing the tour of the jail. And Colin, thank you for being there. Appreciate all the work you're doing to get that up and running here, July-ish or so? Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to new business. First, we have an update on ITB 2022-008 County Plaza Renovation Project with Bailey Edward Design and Bruin Rousseau. And if you could just hit the button on that microphone before you start, you'll see it turn red. There it is.
All right, a couple of photos from this month's progress. Working on finalizing the boardroom. So we're putting in the court sills along the windows. This is a picture of the east elevation in your boardroom. Here's your dividing panel partition wall with the carpet now installed. You can kind of see the colors tie together. Ceiling's in, most of the AV is in. We have a couple county supplied TV brackets and TVs that we'll be mounting next week. So a couple photos of that. Here's another shot looking down towards the north. You have that kitchenette on the left side there. Got the tile wall and cabinets in for that. Display case, this is right outside your boardroom, going down that main corridor hallway there. Got that installed, got the lights, all the glass installed for that. These are your fire rated doors that enter the boardroom. These are required by code without the sprinkler system there, so those are installed. We're putting in the tops for the millwork panels. This is second floor. So those got finalized last week. This is a picture of your upper deck. The striping was complete, new parking blocks were placed, and the layout for your security gates that is ongoing, and those are going to be installed tomorrow actually. Water coolers and water filler stations are all installed throughout the floors. These are all on the north side. lower level through level 5. IT data racks, closets, this is 4th floor. North side IT closet, this is one of the main closets that runs down to the server room in the lower level. Doors, hardware have been installed on all levels besides the lower level. So lock sets, hinges, closures, that is installed throughout the building. Here's one of your finalized pieces of millwork. This will be on the 4th floor, looking to the west. Got some casework installed on the 5th floor, drawers and cabinets to follow. Tops are installed. Carpet is about 85% complete on 5th floor and will be completed tomorrow. Here's some additional shots of the 5th floor carpet going in. That's all I have for photos. Any questions on site progress or?
Mr. Wilson?
Thank you. This is an observation on page 8 and 9, and I guess 16. So these are the same floor colors as the jail, I take it? Sure looks the same. Or is it not? On the floor? Slightly different?
Yeah, they're different. I think you got a shadow that looks a little more grayish.
Or grayish, okay. I was just
there.
curious.
It's more of an off-white at the plaza, and then there's some accent walls varying from a kind of a muted blue or grayish blue to, Austin, remember what the other accent color was?
I think we have like a dark green, we got
Dark green.
a brownish,
Yeah.
we got a nice, kind of like a royal blue
Yeah,
throughout.
Okay.
but in general, it's an off-white.
It could be I can't see all the colors. That's possible.
I didn't take too many accent colors this time.
Yeah. May I ask you a question on progress?
Yep.
So regarding progress, my curiosity, we haven't talked about this for a while. I was wondering what's your update on worker safety and tracking worker safety? Any concerns, observations of note?
No concerns. We had our safety consultant walk last week, so we do a bi-monthly walk with our safety consultant. Then we do on-site training for safety, routine OSHA 30s. We do workshops in our office with our field guys to ensure that everyone's looking out for safety throughout the job site at all times. So right now, our safety consultant, Tom Gray, did a walkthrough last week and was pleased with the worker safety on site. So that makes me feel good. He's usually the one to point out anything if it's obvious, and we had no issues on his end.
All right, thanks, Austin.
Yep.
Any other questions? Just looking at this last picture here, are those additional, is it carpet tiles that are, so those are additional on the pallet there, or?
Yeah, those are just on a pallet ready to still be installed. So we'll have some additional carpet because we modified the layout, so we're able to turn over more carpet tiles as attic stock than original. So we'll have some attic stock. I'll coordinate with Chris and the team to get turned over for county's use following turnover.
Nice, thank you. Dana?
Austin, you want to give them an idea of what's up and coming for this month and where you're at?
Yeah, up and coming. All the exterior doors, I went to Wisconsin yesterday, picked those up. So they'll be installed throughout this week. So all exterior doors, door access will be finalized. We're waiting on a data rack placement in the server room to tie our fiber into from the courthouse. Once we get that connection, we can program and basically turn on the access control system to the courthouse and interconnection with the building over here. Parking gates, those are going on tomorrow, so all the parking gates, you'll see that taking place. And then just basically wrapping up the lower level flooring is our goal late this week, early next week. We have a substantial completion walkthrough with the city next Friday. They'll be testing the fire pump. They'll be running the generator, running the building through all life safety events to ensure that the building is safe from the life safety standpoint. And then we're meeting with Bailey Edwards this Friday to do our first round of punch list walkthroughs to get those issued to the affected subs. And then we have a couple odds and ends. We'll be finishing up, later, probably early July. The signage, we'll have signage once that gets released. The blinds, those are in production now. So those are a couple items that were either change order or we're waiting on final approval on that will take place following completion.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson?
Another question. On substantial completion, then the jurisdiction is the city instead of the county, or is it different parts of the contract?
It's a combination of both. The owner in this contract can decide whether or not substantial completion is met based off progress, but the city has the final say based off life safety. Basically, the city has to grant the owner approval to occupy the building. Most cases, it's for furniture, move in, etc. This won't be the case in this one as we're waiting on the elevators, but we can at least identify the substantial completion from a life safety standpoint for what's on the contract.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? All right, thank you. We can move on then to the discussion and approval of change orders for ITB 2022-008, County Plaza renovation project. We have change orders 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, and 50 attached, pages 18 through 23. You want to go through all these together and we can vote on them together? Okay, we'll see them as an omnibus then.
All right, so we will start with change order 45. This is going to be for 10 additional hardware sets on existing doors in janitor closets, mechanical rooms, and existing doors for offices. This will help the building be keyed all in the same lock set so that there's easier access to all the parts of the building.
Any questions on that one? Okay, go ahead and move on.
Change order 46. This is to add a card access to the south main entrance on the first floor. This is just going to allow it to be easier access into the first level of the building from that upper deck parking level. The total is $3,316.
If there's no questions on that one, we can move on to the next.
All right, change order 47. This is to paint the large exterior sign on the southwest of the building, along with that covered stair on the south of the building as well. The total is $3,139.
Just for me to understand, is this the sign that's at the front of the building, like the marquee, or is this the exterior, like external standing sign?
It's the one that's...
The standing sign?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It'll be color matched to the building. It'll make it look a lot more appealing. We didn't include it originally just for budgeting reasons, but we chose to add it because it'll look a lot better.
Any other questions on that one? Mr. Wilson?
Just
Sorry.
out of curiosity, is it like a big sign, little sign? What's the size of the sign?
It's a significant, or Dan, you want to?
It's a significant sign. It's probably 2 stories tall. The top of it's probably 15, 16 feet in diameter, 4-sided. Originally was a bank sign. We had talked about doing a number of things with it. Unfortunately, it's no longer, it's too big for city code anymore. So if we make substantial changes, we have to tear it down, put up a new one. So we decided the best bet is to paint it, make it look like the building. We will work with the sign company to put 4 signs on each of the faces up top, lighted behind, and kind of call it a day.
Yeah, thanks to help. I was thinking it was maybe a 8.5 by 11 sign, $3,000. Wow.
No, it's the big one that
Okay.
said for sale for a long time.
It's good size, plus it also incorporates then the stairwell building that's on the south center side of the upper deck. That will match the building as well.
All right, thank you.
All right, so moving on to change order 48. During the roof inspection by Carlisle, they found that in the penthouse, since we had all that Verizon stuff in there, all the abandoned holes were allowing slight water, nothing extremely serious, but it was enough that they made note of it. So this change order is to fill all those abandoned penetrations and to paint those penthouses. Currently, they still match the exterior color, the original exterior color, and you can see them peeking out above. So this also includes repainting. The total is $6,634.
Any questions on that one? I'm just assuming it'll save us money in the long run to fill the holes in now, so, yes. Sorry, go ahead.
All right, moving on to change order 49. This is the accent stair going from the first to second floor in the main lobby spaces. Originally, we had the existing concrete finish to be the stair tread finish. Once we removed that carpeting, we found that the carpeting must have been set on top of the concrete when it was still wet, so you can see the bottom pattern of the carpet on that concrete. So this change order is to put vinyl stair treads on that stair along with that platform at the transition. The total for that is $6,367.
No questions on that one? We can move on.
All right, and change order 50. This is for the lower level parking bumpers. The existing condition of these bumpers was quite poor. And upon the movement of these bumpers, they were so deteriorated that they ended up breaking. So this change order is to replace 6 of the bumpers that are in like the middle section, leaving the spots along the wall to not have bumpers to save a little bit. This change order is $1,903.
Any questions on that one or any of the others come up? Mr. Wilson?
I'm on page 23. I'm on the right page, correct page? And the change order is how much?
Change order
Which change order is that?
50.
50. It
Yeah,
is,
I think it's $3,846.75.
that was,
Think it changed?
it changed. I'm not sure if you saw it. It was amended last minute. That $3,000 price is to replace all 23. So we replaced that with only replacing the 6 to save.
Yeah, okay.
So what was that amended number
Yeah,
again?
we need to amend that.
That is $1,903.25.
1,903.25 is the change order cost for number 50 on page 23. Got it. Do we need to officially move to amend that since it's not in the packet this way? If I could get a motion to amend?
We haven't actually had a motion for
Oh,
any of these.
right, okay.
So I could make a motion for us to accept all of these with the change to,
Okay.
with the
Perfect.
change to, change order number 50 to make it 1,903.25.
Okay. So you've made that motion. I think I saw your hand up, Carolyn, for the second. So oh, Beth? Turn your microphone on. Sorry, I can't hear
I
you.
always forget to do that. The last total, the new contract sum should be $20,305,851.60. I imagine we'll want to amend that as well, so we avoid.
Okay, so you made a motion to add that additional amendment.
Okay.
Yes, the original mover, Jen Luck, agrees. Carolyn, do you accept that with that? Okay, great. So we've got the amended change orders moved and seconded. All in favor? Any opposed?
Is that 71 cents or 61 cents?
6-0.
I think it's 71.
Oh. You've got the calculator out already? Okay. Yeah. Beth, what was that with your microphone on? Sorry. Okay. We will have the correct change amount in the final order here. And Beth is doing math. Yeah, it will be correct on our website and in the paperwork that goes through to the full, or the cow, when we see that in the consent agenda. Or is it the full board? That's full. So we should be good there. Thank you. Okay, 71. I don't know if that's right either, but it'll be correct. The math will be correct, and okay. Thank you. So we're all set there. We can move on to update on ITB 2023-005, County Plaza Elevator Renovation Project with Bailey Edward Design. And David, turn the microphone back on.
I'll take it. So we had a Zoom call today with our expert, as well as Bailey Edwards and Otis. We were notified today that the controls and trailing cables will be in production, but they will not be here until later this month. They would not give us a date. In fact, they told Otis it would probably be in July, but I think Otis put their foot down, and they'll be delivered sometime in the month of June. We just don't know the date. Otis, based on that information, wants to start the project on the 15th of July. That obviously impacts our schedule. We reiterated to Otis that upon their arrival here, they need to use their best efforts to condense their original estimate for a duration of the project for each elevator. So we hope that the equipment arrives as early as possible, but you're talking about controllers. We've had issues, anything dealing with controlling pieces, computer, with our other facilities and projects, it does take time. So we can beat Otis up all we want, but they're not controlling the delivery or the production of the controllers, unfortunately. So the schedule will be what it is, but we'll try and push them as far as we can upon their arrival here.
So with that, what are we looking at as occupation for the building?
It'll be delayed, obviously. We were hoping that the first elevator, down the north elevator, the larger one, would be completed latter part of August. So now you're probably talking about the end of September, beginning of October, which also pushes, if they have to stay with the 14 weeks, we're hoping that they can condense that. Once we know that, we can forecast a little bit better about the second elevator and the public. Once that elevator is done, we can open the building for business as soon as we get staff and folks over into the building. So it's going to be a moving target. just have to ask for patience from all of our staff and, push as hard as we can, and we're certainly doing that, but, at the end of the day, you're kind of hostage to third parties.
Oh, sure, that way we can field some of the questions without directing people to you, I hope so. Is there still, I don't remember where we were with possible sheriff's office moving into the building before others. Is that something that's still on the table?
The street crew that actually are on the roads, the road crew, can move in. So we can move them into the lower level. They do not have access to the public. They don't see the public. But sheriff's office has to remain where it's at until such time as we have a public elevator so that his floor and his office is accessible. So unfortunately, we've got to leave the sheriff there and his staff until the second elevator is done and in place.
All right, thank you. Other questions on elevators? All right, thank you. Next, we have update on the courthouse parking lot access control project, also Bailey Edward Design. Dana, are you taking that one as well, or David, you've got it? Okay.
I'll take this one over. So the parking lot coating and striping has been completed. I spoke with Justin today. He said that they're hoping to have Effie Moran on site tomorrow. They have received an IP address so they can get moving on those parking gates. He told me that he's hoping to have them operational by the end of this week. The Jersey barriers have been set in place, and those are good. Hopefully the end of this week, they will have those gate arms operational.
Yeah, this is one, I'm assuming it'll be already operational, functional, parked in by our next facilities meeting. So this will be our last update probably on this.
I talked to Effie Moran as well today. I got him the IP addresses. We actually were able to get an electrician over there today to get his equipment powered. And he's powered on a generator backup circuit so that if and when, we lose power to the building, and he's got a UPS to bridge the gap until the generator takes care of it so that the gates will continue to operate, even during the day, during a storm. So he's hopeful to have it programmed, ready to go sometime tomorrow. We met with staff, Mary and Chris, later today, and we'll be putting together the names. He's got to have the names so he can program the cards. So we'll be putting our judges and our department heads in specific spaces, and basically the remainder goes to seniority. So there'll be 93 total parking spaces available. And once the judges and the department heads are taken care of, it's based on seniority, who gets the other passes, and that's kind of fleeting because when people leave, it'll go to the next senior person. We'll start with public defender in there, and I'm sure some of her staff has seniority, but as we transition that group over to the plaza, then we'll obviously move more people in, as well as moving some of the courthouse folks into the plaza once we take care of the Brookins staff. So, but we hope to have it up and running. I'm hoping by Friday we'll send out a communication tomorrow to the courthouse staff and let them know that we're shooting for Friday. They can still have access to the lot because it's open. As you come in off the south side, but we'll do test run on Thursday and go from there.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Parking lot access. Excited to see this one finished. Thank you. Moving on to update on ITB 2022-009 Satellite Jail Consolidation Project. As Mr. Wilson said earlier, we were fortunate, several of us, to go on a tour of that new construction area today and see that progress in person. It looks fantastic. I can't wait to hear you tell us more about it.
So we'll start with, this photo is one of the outdoor courtyards just outside the outdoor rec space. You can see the fence has been put up. This interior of one of the janitor closets with additional storage space. This is showing some the casework that's been ongoing. This is in one of the exam rooms in the medical wing. Geothermal pumps. A lot of casework going on. So this is inside the pharmacy. You can see that the layout of the exterior egress fencing is begun. The fencing around the generator. Casework in the nurses' station, also in the medical wing. Some floor preparation before the epoxy flooring goes on in the exercise room. Again, more casework being installed. It's one of the med ISO cells. And an overall view of one of the day rooms. And this is one of the security stations, the central pod where the security officers sit and monitor the pod. And that is our photos.
Any questions? Mr. Wilson?
There's a curiosity question. How deep is the geothermal well?
Do you happen to know off the top of your head, Lucas?
300. Yeah, I don't.
350 feet.
350 feet?
Something like that.
And what's the temperature of the water then? Curious. Yeah, is it, I don't know, I have no idea. 40 degrees, 60 degrees?
It varies cyclically with the time of the year. So oddly enough, in the summertime, you're pushing heat down in there, the ground temperature gets higher. In the wintertime, you're taking heat back out, the ground temperature gets lower. So the ground temperature, and therefore the water temperature, which I think is what you're asking, tends to do one of these sine wave things as the seasons progress.
Okay, cool. So 350 feet, you said? And there's one well, two wells?
There's a lot of wells.
There's a lot of wells. All right, thank you.
If you wouldn't mind, could you walk up to the microphone to respond, just so we can make sure that anybody listening
didn't think you'd be on.
online can hear too?
But I will. So the water, we're not taking water from the ground. What this really is a heat exchanger that's buried in the ground. And when you say a well, it's a hole. It's a hole that's drilled really deep, and you got this 350-foot long hairpin of pipe that goes down into the ground, and there's a grout that makes sure that there's good conduction with the adjoining soil. So all it really does is transfer heat from the working fluid, which in this case is a solution of propylene glycol that's edible, and water, and the adjacent soil.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, yes. Other questions?
We're all smarter now, right?
I am. I feel like I'm smarter for sure. So that really was interesting to see that today too. If there's no other questions on that,
Then,
oh, Mr. Wilson, go ahead.
thank you. So Colin, thanks again for the tour. Same question for the previous. How's safety and how's the safety program going and safety audits, et cetera, with the workforce there at the jail?
Yeah, so we've had 0 lost work days from the onset of the project, so that's great. We do our in-house safety supervisors come out bi-weekly. And Trevor, who you met on site, does a weekly toolbox talk and site walks. If we have a new activity like a crane, rooftop units, roofing, stuff like that, our in-house safety folks again will come out, assess the risk, and set up proper staging for that sort of work.
Okay, and a toolbox talk is just use of tools or safety or?
Different, yeah, we try and do like heat stress in January, that sort of
Okay.
thing. But,
Yeah.
talk about different work activities that may have a safety hazard. So ladders, for instance, ladder safety, tie off, roof edge, that sort of thing, leading
right.
edge.
All right, thank you.
All right, there's no other questions. We can move on to the discussion of the PJ Horror Minority Employment Reports for March and April of 2024. It says to be distributed, but I don't,
Yeah, we had a problem with that, so I
Okay.
apologize. We will get them out to you. We also get them posted on the web, but Colin's here to talk about them and walk you through it.
you have your numbers that you could talk us through it, though?
Yeah,
Okay,
roughly.
great,
We have
thank
the
you.
condensed version. So we had submitted the April, which we're working on May now, which we'll get to Dana and the folks. In April, we had 84 employees, 2 female and 11 minority. That ended up with being about a 2% for female and 11% for the remaining minority. That's starting to trend slightly down because of the type of work and less activity on the site. So we had seen some larger numbers, obviously, with the larger workforces.
Ms. Furtado?
Do we know what the aggregate is?
Year to date,
Yeah.
looks like we had 16 female and 937 minority. Our total project, we had 53,000 hours, and I think we have 1,676 total minority hours.
So are those aggregate, that's separate employee or separate staff? Like it's,
So we have another sheet that has them broken down by contractor. So like PJ Air, for instance, we've had, this last month, 1 female. A&R, for instance, has had 6 minority and 0 female, that sort of thing. So we track all that on that log. So we break it down by each contractor, compile it to kind of a overall female minority.
so the 16 and 937 you said is for lifetime of the project? Year to date, what was the?
Yeah, number, quantity, yes. We've had 16 female workers.
Any other questions on that? Stephanie, you had what you needed, or are you looking for something here? Okay. Turn your microphone back on, sorry.
Did you say 1676 out of 53,000?
That's employees. So we had 1,676 employee count. Total hours were 53,000.
Oh, okay, gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha,
sorry, I
gotcha,
probably
gotcha.
did.
I was like, because I've been seeing your reports, and I'm
Yeah,
like, that math is way lower than,
Yes.
okay, I was like, that's why, if my
I
face looked,
apologize, Matt's usually pretty fluent at this. and,
Okay.
I'm filling in.
I was like, uh-oh. I was like, what just happened to my numbers? Okay.
I think you got it, okay.
My,
Dana? Oh, sorry.
My problem was I could not open the file. It was corroded for some reason. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna try sending it again. Thank you.
I say if we could, I don't know if Mary, if you want to keep the hard copy if we're able to, in case we can't get the file, so that we could at least scan that in, or, I would love to, get this on the web as soon as possible with the packet, so. Thank you. Mr. Wilson?
Hey, Colin, one more question. You said total labor hours to date was 53,000-ish?
Mm-hmm.
And of those labor hours, how much was attributed to minority workforce?
If I have them correct, if I'm reading Matt's form, I've got about 7,200, 300, something like that.
7,000. So 7,000 out of 53,000 is,
Put it this way, it's more than the 10% that we asked them to do.
okay,
Yes.
so I mean, that's,
Yes,
I think that,
yeah,
I wanted to just make that point, right? So
Yes. Correct.
it's not only individuals, but it's also hours worked, right?
Yes.
Thank you for going through all that. I know that wasn't something you've been doing all along. It's something that Matt's
Yeah,
been
sorry
working
for-
with. So, no, I appreciate
with me.
you
I'm not,
you reading through it with us. I know there was a little bit of a hiccup. Ms. Furtado,
Yeah, I
sorry.
think just point's important. I think that hours worked is the most important thing because bodies matter, but you could have, and I've seen this on jobs where you'll have somebody out there for a day. You know what I mean? Like doing a very specialized kind of job and it counts as a person, but really did that work actually impact or change that person's life in any meaningful way? Because they were out there for, you know what I mean? Percentage of hours worked is really what matters. And y'all knocked it out of the ballpark in terms of what we asked you to do on that. The women thing is, I've discussed this from the beginning. It is what it is. You are in line with national average on construction projects, and I don't know how much more we could have asked you to do. That's a very aspirational goal that we had, and I commend you for trying. And I know it doesn't sound like much, but what do you say? There was 16 women on a job? That's like 15 more than a lot of construction jobs have, so, yeah.
We appreciate your understanding there. It is, they're just not in the trade and the workforce.
Right. Although I will say I've met a really cool roofing woman, 3 electricians, a plumber, and one other trade whose life mission is to change that. They're all local and they're really passionate about trying to bring more women in. So I don't know. The next time we have you do a big project, maybe it will be in 20, 30 years.
Any other questions? Well, thank you for your work on that. And if you could just leave the hard copies with Mary at least, so we have something to work with. We can do that if we can't get the file, so I appreciate it. We can move on to discussion and approval of the extension letters of understanding with Bailey Edward Design, Reeves Tech Reed Architecture, and GHR Engineering, page 38 in your packet.
Okay, I've included this in the fall of 2020, County Board sent out 2 RFQs to hire an architectural service to do a lot of work. We just coming off of the hailstorm. We had all the roofs that needed to be reworked. We had a bunch of HVAC equipment that was damaged, needed to be reworked. And we had these 2 big projects that we've just talked through this evening coming on board and needed to be developed. So we went through the process and we hired, instead of just one firm with all of the work, we hired 2 architectural firms and an engineering firm to work with us on all of our projects. Keep in mind it was about $3.4 million in insurance work due to that storm. Number of roofs, number of HVAC systems on these roofs that got replaced or repaired. So there was a lot of work done. Those letters of understanding with the 3 entities started January 1st of 21 and went for a 3-year period through December 31st of 23. We've been so involved in what's going on, we really didn't think about, oops, maybe we need to extend these. So I'm coming today basically with the projects that are ongoing. with some of the projects that are coming up that we're working on, some of our capital asset fund, our annual projects. But we also, once these projects are done, we also have the 1-year warranty period, which is huge. So I'm asking to extend all 3 entities by 2 years. It'll take us through December 31st of '25. I would at the same time say that in the fall of '25, we'll come back out with another RFQ process for both architectural and engineering, and do it on a 5-year basis versus a 3. Hindsight's always 20/20, and we should have done that back in '21, but we'll hopefully get it right the next time. I think it's important that we do this. I think it's important to carry through with the same folks. There's a lot of continuity and knowledge that would walk out if we have to change. And in order to get these projects done and to ensure that they get done, I think this is an important step for the county to extend all 3 agreements.
Stephanie?
I guess my main question is the original lose that we did, like, do we have was there the flexibility to do this 2-year extension? Like that's okay in terms of like the county's RFQ process?
Yes, before I even raised this with administration, I did talk with legal counsel, with Matt, and he looked it up, and he saw no problem in extending a 2-year period, and then obviously, look again in '25 and go back out on the street with RFQs. So,
Mr. Wilson?
Thanks, Dana, for working on this. 2 questions. One is, well, maybe it's 3, but anyway, I'll start with 2. So the first question is, the original intent was from 21 to 23, and I'm thinking you're thinking you don't want to change horses in midstream, you want to stay with the same vendor. How has there been any blowback or pushback from other vendors being excluded from this extension? Was there some anticipation from a different architectural firm or an engineering firm to be part of the RFQ process, and now they need to wait another 2 years before they can have a competitive bid for this service? Does that question make sense?
Jeff, I'm not sure that we can truly answer that question, because I can't speak for any of the architectural firms or engineering firms in the community or outside our community. We worked and negotiated the 3-year deal with the gentlemen here and their companies that they represent. We've talked to legal counsel, and they have assured us that there is no issue or problem legally in extending 2 years. It seems prudent at this point for the county to do that. So your question is difficult to answer, and I'm not trying to avoid it, but I have no idea if another firm in the town is up in arms or not. But this protects and ensures the integrity of the projects that are currently working forward, and I think that comes first for the county. And as we report to the citizens and the taxpayers, I think that's an important piece.
So my follow-up to that is, I understand that I've been on the receiving end of 3-year MOUs, or whatever you call it, letters of, and then every 3 years those change based upon whatever change to go from engineering firm A to engineering firm B. That's why I brought that up, if that makes any sense to you at all. So maybe I'm too sensitive to this, but I'm really sensitive to that. So nevertheless, I understand what you're doing. So the next question then So do you keep track of what the average spend for these firms are? And is it basically consistent year over year and expected to be the same over the next 2 years?
Yeah, as we negotiate with these entities, we do try and keep it at 10%, which is pretty standard. Now that some are higher, but we try as accounting because we watch our funds. We take safeguard over our funds because the dollars we get are special and unique, and we have to stretch those dollars as much as possible. So we try and keep these vendors at a 10% fee. And for the most part, I think we've done that.
So when the RFQ gets issued, then 2 years from now, that's a public announcement?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions there? So do we have a motion to approve the extension letters of understanding? Moved by Vanich Sternat, second by Greer. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, I didn't. Are we, okay. Any opposed?
I oppose.
Oh, Mr. Wilson opposed. The motion passes, but that will not go on consent. Okay, moving forward to discussion and approval of courthouse boiler burner replacement project, ITB 2024-002, bid documentation and drawings. Capital Asset Fund project, GHR Engineering, and the bid documents are attached.
Hi, good evening. We are seeking approval for the bidding process to begin for the Champaign County Courthouse boiler burner replacement project, which will replace 2 of our existing boilers in the basement of the courthouse, the burners for those boilers that are not near as efficient as they could be. This is for just the burners on those systems. We currently are going to reestablish a chemical treatment system for those burners that will help prolong the life of the boilers. We're going to have them this is under a separate deal, but we're going to retube the boilers as well to correct existing leaks within the system and to kind of start fresh with the new chemical treatment system. Currently, we've got a water softener system put in that's helping control hardness of that water. And if I'm not mistaken, Jim, there should be some Ameren incentives included in this as well? We believe so, on the burners. Okay.
So he answered yes, there is incentive involved.
That's what I thought, okay.
Any questions, Ms. Furtado?
I had meant, but I ran out of time in my life, to cross-reference this with our, sort of maintenance plan 10-year thing to see, so was this planned for 2024, or is that, part of that plan that we all voted on? I meant to cross-reference and just, then all of a sudden it was time for the meeting.
So it's part of the 23 plan. And we revised it because we began talking about it 2 years ago. As we looked at it, because originally we were going to replace both boilers, and that was a substantial investment. And with GHR's lead convincing us that this is the best way to go, and we would get an additional, once this work is done, additional 20 years out of those boilers versus a substantial amount of money going to 2 boilers for the courthouse. Important building, but this buys us and buys the county 20 more years of operation, and they'll be more efficient than they were when they were new.
Follow up to that, I haven't been on this committee a super long time. Do we semi-regularly revisit that plan? And just because I know some of the stuff comes before us, but some of it just doesn't. And so I know we vote on it, but then I feel like it would be helpful maybe every 6 months, year, you know what I mean? Just be hey, here's where we are on that. Does that, or maybe that already is something that happens and I just don't remember that it does.
We do. We revisit it 3 or 4, internally with our staff. We revisited 3 or 4 times during the course of the year. We had a major revision because of the hailstorm. So that was a tremendous revision, taking off a lot of the HVAC equipment was on the roof that got damaged, some of the roof replacements that were scheduled. These 2 boilers in question, we reduced the fee. So we were able to update it and spread it out. And we also, at that same time, prior to the last revision, we did not have carpet replacement or painting for facilities in any of the capital asset funds. So now they're in here. So yes, we will sit down, probably this summer and take a look and see what we need to tweak and bring it back as necessary.
Awesome. Yeah, like I feel like maybe if this committee could just see it like once a year or something, like maybe in a month where there's not a lot going on. Yeah, be cool.
Maybe we could put that on for the August meeting, just to take a look, not just because we've got a couple months between then and now, where you don't have to plan for a meeting next month. Any other questions? Chris?
One other thing I wanted to mention is both these boilers run year-round. So they're always, one or the other or both are always running, so.
All right. So can we get a motion to, Locke, got the motion? A second for that, Mr. Wilson? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we're good to go on that RFQ. And then moving on to discussion and award of contract for moving services. County Executive Recommendation Letter attached, page 62. Is that one going to be? Michelle, are you talking to that one?
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
tag team it, yeah.
Thank you. You want to discuss it at all, or any questions, or?
Everything's generally in the letter. We had a decent amount of requests, I thought. We did reach out to local businesses to make sure they were aware of the RFP. They wanted to bid. We did 2 walkthroughs, which were hour and a half each, which were very useful in terms of identifying for us things that concern the movers and things we need to be thinking about and hearing what their thought processes were on moving our stuff. The committee did look through all the proposals and settled on Hutchcraft based on their experience, their green moving supplies. We are very interested in. They'll be providing the totes and the containers and the carts, so we'll just put the stuff in it, they'll move it, and then we take the stuff out, which is going to save us a significant amount of money. Otherwise, we were preparing to buy a lot of boxes. And we actually have a lot of things that won't really fit in boxes, so we are going to have to figure out how to move those as well. So that's one of the 2 main reasons that we settled on Hutchcraft.
Hutchcraft is a local company as well, and they're actually the company that moved county into Brookins.
I appreciated the comments on here too about the fair wages for their staff and making sure that they're a good employer.
Yeah, we expressed it many times in the request process, that a bid that indicated it was not paying prevailing wage or a livable wage would highly be rejected by the board, so.
Stephanie? Do you recall what the difference, I know you said this wasn't the lowest between them and the lowest bidder?
The lowest bidder was like half the cost, which is what really set up the red flag.
Sorry, Mr. Wilson, you had your hand up.
Yes, what's the cost?
Are we?
It just didn't show in, is it supposed to show here or not? Or when you go to the county board, you're going to have
I think it'll be in the contract that we bring to the board. I'm not sure how much information we're allowed to make public at this point because we don't have the contract drafted yet. Yeah.
But you award it based on price and other things, right?
Other things, but price is part of it. Yeah.
Ms. Locke?
This is going to be a staggered move, right? Not all at once?
Correct.
And were there bids for that, or was it like roundly rejected by movers?
Everyone bid both. Everyone clearly preferred the staggered option. There were a lot of
Oh, your microphone turned off.
there were a lot of comments of the amount of manpower needed to do the entire move at once would make the cost, and just no one was interested in that option. So.
And I take it the bid that you received was within the projected budget for the move
It
as
came
well?
in significantly less than I expected.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a competitive bid.
Yeah.
Good, okay. Any other questions there? So I think, are we moving this forward to, we're voting to move this forward to the board?
Yeah.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve? Vanich Theranot, second by Greer. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Chair,
Oh, sorry.
I did
Steve?
want to add that after discussion with staff, I felt that it was prudent to hire a person to act as a move coordinator. It's going to be complicated between departments and trying to make sure that things move smoothly. This person would serve as a main point of contact and would hire and train any part-time staff that we might hire, and would act as a liaison with admin. It would also help keep the public informed as well. So I think it's money well spent. Michelle has so many hours in the day, and this is the project that we want to make sure runs as smoothly as possible.
So is this a temporary position for the county then?
Absolutely.
Stephanie?
Since we're talking about moving, one other thing is, at least we just had an ARPA review. We do this on occasion, and you all might remember that moving the IT, like especially for this room, right, was something we funded through ARPA, but that's not a thing. Apparently, no companies will do it. Companies don't move technology like that. So instead, we're probably going to have to replace. So that is going to be a conversation that we'll have with ARPA. But since it's move related, I thought I'd mention it here, that like moving that technology, like uninstalling it and reinstalling it, is just apparently not a thing.
Steve?
MC sought out multiple different companies to try and take care of this. And he thought that he did have one company, but then that company decided they weren't interested. But we've tried hard to try and find somebody to move the equipment so we wouldn't have to buy new, and it's just not been successful, unfortunately.
What equipment specifically are we referring to when we talk about this?
This audiovisual equipment in here.
Just this in this space?
This room is the main issue. That
Okay.
all of this that connects us and does the live feed and all of that. So.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. And we already did the vote on that one, so we're good. No other business from me. Ms. Furtado.
It occurs to me that we're ending the end of our first two, maybe ever, county PLAs. And I would like to come up with a process by which, Emily and I have talked about this a lot, that we want to explain to the board how it went. So I kind of feel like it should probably be a two-step process, that once we tie off the books in terms of all subcontractors and all hours, that like we have all of that for us to think about. And I want to be really specific on the subcontractors. I want like the actual minority contractors, not like this is the sub that had a sub, like what was the sub, right? So like once we get all that charted out, I think we have an actually really good story to tell to the whole board. But I also want us to have like a clear-eyed assessment. I mean, I think there's stuff we learned. Like, for example, we probably should have included veterans It's harder to do some of this work in the summer when we're competing with the schools, right? Like I would like us to have like an open conversation here. I'd like to hear from Dana and his staff on how tough was it to manage all of this, right? And then like consolidate all that conversation and all of those numbers together and then bring it to the full board like maybe the month after. So I wanted to put that on our radar screen. So I don't know what month, that makes sense. If it's, we have the conversation in here in September and then it's October or, you know what I mean? I don't think it makes any sense to do it until everything's tied off, you know what I mean? Until we've, but I feel like, we just did this for $40 million worth of projects and it's something we've never done before. And I think we should assess how it went and what we could do better next time, right? The veterans thing to me is like an easy, like something we could do better next time. Although we even though we didn't include it, we do have some numbers on it. But yeah, so I think that would be, and maybe we could even hear from the contractors, besides us, beating you up about it. How did it go? How tough was it? Yeah.
I think Emily had mentioned that to me, that we should do a wrap up and see what we could do better moving forward, having done this now with two big projects.
My
Dana?
biggest thing is I want to suggest that we have a conversation here first before we bring it to the full board, because I think we could dive into it a little bit deeper than the full board is going to have appetite to, and then we could present to them a report and ask for their feedback. But that's just my suggestion.
Dana?
I would ask that you also consider handicap as well as veterans. The state recognizes all of those groups in their minority categories. So I think we should follow the lead of what the state does.
I agree. Special needs. And then I think the other thing too, and this might be, it's probably something we could reverse engineer. I'm not saying that we should, but I would be super interested to know local. Like, how many people did we on these projects actually hire that are from our county? Which, with our pay applications, if we wanted to, we probably could figure that out. I'm not at all suggesting we should. What I'm suggesting is maybe in future projects, that's something we'd want to know. That would make you, the reports we're going to get are going to be like, we're going to know more about who builds things for this county.
Well, with the, I guess, the caveat that some things are self-reported, and as a handicapped person who doesn't always disclose my handicap, like I might not show up on one of those if I was working on your project. So,
and we just heard from somebody. We provided 53,000 hours of work in our county. That's awesome. If I was a taxpayer, I'd be curious, like how much of those folks were from our county that did that work. You know what I mean? But I think, and how many veterans, and I think this is a great, but just that, I think just having that stat, how many hours of actual work this provided, both of these projects provided, it's powerful and it's cool. And, we had a really good list of subs, and and I think especially on the minority participation, y'all really came through, so.
Any other comments there? All right, we'll work on setting that up with labor and see what we can come up with. So, presiding officers report. Pardon me, can't talk. We have no July meeting. Our next meeting is August 6th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Some of these projects should be wrapped up by then, which you were saying earlier, what will we even talk about? Designation of items to be placed on the consent agenda. We have item 6B, H. Oh, no, H stays off, sorry. Item 6B, I and J, H stays off. And then I am calling this meeting adjourned at 7:39 p.m. Thank you.